Hey, hello, I hope that I'm live. And in this live, I want to talk real quick about stuttering and acceptance. In particular, why I always say that getting free from stuttering is a path of acceptance. So if this is something new to you, I think this video can be very transformative for you. And if you are not new to acceptance, again, I hope that maybe my view on acceptance can be new for you as well. So let's get started. I want to start with actually explaining myself a little bit and saying what I understand by acceptance, how I see acceptance. And it would be great if you leave a comment saying, what do you think about acceptance? Is it good? Is it bad? Do you understand it? You don't understand it? You tried it? Just anything. So what we usually understand by acceptance is just saying, I stutter and that's okay. Which is awesome. That's, again, a great step forward from feeling bad about stuttering. But still, usually, it removes some emotional burden, but it doesn't remove stuttering, right? My way of acceptance, as I see it, is just open, proactive use of the training speech. And again, there could be different ways how we understand training speech. I'm using the hand stuttering technique. I'm talking a lot in my videos about it, showing how it works, different exercises. So when you're openly, proactively using the training speech, you're actually accepting with the training speech, accepting the fact that you stutter and that you are improving. You're speaking, you're exploring, you're working on it. So a very practical exercise or effort or activity of this acceptance is actually disclosure. And what we do with my students, we have a certain message that we share, like I'm in the speech program for stuttering, so my speaking might be a little different. This is the message. The words can be different, but the idea is that please don't be surprised. It's not a big deal, but we disclose this why, and we give ourselves permission to use the training speech. But of course, in this, even though you might not stutter, because the idea of the training speech that it gives you the support, you feel how you start, your phrase, your airflow, you feel assertive, expressive. But at the same time, maybe you don't stutter, but at the same time, you still disclose stuttering this way. And you're disclosing, as I said, your improvement efforts, that you're doing something about it. So that's basically it. This is my understanding of stuttering. This is my view of stuttering. This is my way, of acceptance through this disclosure. So we're not quite accepting stuttering. We also accept our desire actually to enjoy it, not just stutter, but do something about it. So this is the first one. I think it's pretty clear. The second, the main point that I want to bring today is why it's so powerful, why it's so beneficial. Usually people who want to get rid of stuttering, to stop stuttering, to fix it, right? Usually that acceptance, this open use of the training speech, it might feel like a bit like bad. It feels a bit I don't want to stutter. I don't want to feel inferior with this disclosure that I'm in the speech program for stuttering, speech therapy for stuttering. So I really want to kind of fix it. I don't want to tell anybody about my stuttering. So, and it's really important mental exercise. What are you really doing at that point? And how you feel at that point. If you feel bad about this disclosure, of course, it's not the right thing. So you want to feel great about it. Now, how do we feel great about it? So I really want you to see that when you're using the training speech, for example, it does feel like an imperfect action. Something imperfect. It might even feel, again, of course it doesn't feel like that, but still, let's label it. Let's call it a mistake. It might feel like a mistake. Like, I need to be cool. I need to be regular. I need to be normal. Like, people speak fluently and effortlessly, and I'm here using some training speech. Right? It feels imperfect. It feels like a mistake. But this permission yourself to make a mistake, this disclosure that you're making, this is the key skill that you want to master. To give yourself permission to make a mistake, to do this imperfect action. And I want you to really think about it, and again, tap into this emotional state or wave, if you would. So imagine let's take some examples. Like, for example, a great quote, probably you've heard about quote of Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan's quote where he says that I've been given so many times this final shot and I missed so many times, right? That's why I succeeded, or I don't remember. So because he gave himself permission to miss in that final shot, that actually gave him the needed emotional state to actually win those shots, right? To perform way better than others. So when you give yourself permission to miss, you kind of remove that tension, you remove that fear. You're really in that zone where you can perform the best. Another example, I really want you to tap into this feeling, right? Maybe you've seen on YouTube videos about Spider-Man, a French guy who climbs like tall buildings, like hundreds of meters without any ropes, without any security, like safety, like anything, just with his fingers. Skyscraper, just insane, right? You can Google for the Spider-Man French guy. Awesome, beautiful. So each time he climbs, like, you would feel a lot of tension. You would feel literally tension in your body because it's so scary. Now imagine if we try doing what he does with that tension, with that fear inside, right? Of course we fall instantly. So in order to perform that well and to climb those high buildings, like, he needs to give himself permission to fall and die, right? So Of course, he's skilled, but he needs to remove all the tension, all the fear, to be really present, to like it actually. We feel fear, we feel tension looking at him. He enjoys it. He loves that moment where he's like hanging on two fingers, and like hundreds and hundreds meters below. So the same way we want to feel when it gets to speaking interaction. We want to enjoy this moment, to be present, to belong here, not to feel any tension. And the only way to do that is to give yourself permission to make a mistake, to to do this imperfect action. Give yourself permission to the imperfect action. And that's the disclosure. How, when you disclose, you actually practice this skill. And it's a broader skill, of course, not only about speaking, but in life in general. This fear to make a mistake, it's a huge limitation, it puts us in a box. So I would encourage you to, next time you make a mistake, any mistake, maybe you're late, five minutes late, and you feel like, I'm late. Congratulate yourself. Say, okay, you made a mistake. This is imperfect action. Awesome. Great job. Of course, again, I don't want you to do it intentionally, but if you did it, or you're sending an email and boom, you sent an email too early. It's not finished. No worries. Congratulate yourself on making this mistake. Write another email saying, sorry, this is not finished. I'll do another one. Right? So it can be anything, but I want you to notice how you react to mistakes. Next time, when you make a mistake, congratulate yourself. Feel great about it, right? You've done it. Correct it, and no worries, right? The same way you want to feel with speaking. I have a glitch. No worries. I can do it. Again, using the training speech. Yeah. So, this is my food for thought for you, how we could see acceptance, how it can be the path to freedom from stuttering. Because when you give yourself this permission, you remove that anxiety, remove that tension, and without tension and anxiety, there is no real stuttering. It's not quite a condition anymore, because speech impediments by themselves, without this tension, without this anxiety, without this emotional state, they're just nothing, right? It's not stuttering as a condition. So, thank you so much. Please leave your comment again, how you understand acceptance, and maybe this is something new. If that's new, that will be awesome. Of course, for more videos, subscribe to this YouTube channel. For more interaction, join the Free from Stutter Facebook group. And to go deeper into what we can do about stuttering, join one of my free trainings. Thank you so much. Thank you for your attention, and I'll see you in the next video.